The main problem facing the world today is that of war, and an atomic war that could end mankind.
Possibility of a nuclear war in which some will survive. You are the targets of those who would trample the liberties of free men. You are in the crosshairs of the bomb sight. An enemy is centering on you, the United States of America.
This is the major threat facing us on the planet today. And we were faced with this type of threat at the end of World War II, when the war was started by a little man, Adolf Hitler, who had grandiose ideas, and he was a repressed homosexual. And then another repressed homosexual, Harry S. Truman, dropped atomic weapons on human beings. Not one, but two. Now, let's look at this problem. Let's look at this as what the major problem of the planet Earth is, and the major planet for humanity today. We are extremely complex human beings, and we must be able to embrace our diversity. We are so incredibly complex, this collection of electrons and atoms. We are energetic beings. We are very, very complex fractals, and we must be able to embrace diversity because we are different, but we have different shades of different, etc. Now, 7 to 10% of the people of the world are left-handed. Most people are right-handed, but some are cross-dominant preference. They would rather prefer the left hand, 7 to 10%. This just happens, and it happens in almost everything that we talk about in dominance, including the ideas of sexual preference, where there is also a 7 to 10% group of people who have a different idea rather than heterosexual. Most people are heterosexual, and some are not, homosexual or transsexual or etc. And they make up 7 to 10% of the population. Two 2% of the population live their sexual identity, actually become homosexual or express it, and that leaves 5 to 8% of the population that repress it and suppress it. That repression and suppression. Now that means 1 person out of 20. And what we know from psychology and from our science, so 1 person out of 20 is a psychopath.
Yes, this is what science shows us. 1 person in 20 is a psychopath. 1 person in 20 is a hero who will fight and sacrifice his life for what's right. And the rest just kind of go along. They could follow a psychopath or a hero. Oftentimes they don't really know which one to follow. When a normal person sees a movie with the villain holding a child, the normal person says, "Don't shoot, you might hit the child." The psychopath says, or thinks, "Go ahead and shoot." "We should have nuked them all," famous quote from the psychopath in the bar. "Kill them all and let God sort them out." These are the quotes of a psychopath that reveal their true nature.
Very, very true. They are wired a little differently. They don't care for their fellow human beings as much as normal people do. So we have to be able to recognize, now, what is the overlap in this population? How many people who are repressing and suppressing their sexual identity are psychopaths? And when we look, it's not a perfect overlay, but it is a dramatic correlation. That a lot of these people, more than 50%, an awful lot of these psychopaths are repressed, latent homosexuals with different ideas that they cannot express in their lives, so they repress and suppress their feelings, and they build up until they become full-born psychotic, capable of pushing the button because they don't really care. And it's just a probability and a possibility that one day another such person will take office. And perhaps with a bad day or maybe a growing brain tumor or whatever, and that person might push that button and end the human race. The most important thing that we could do in this world today would be to stop this vindictive hatred of people who are different. Stop our bigotry, stop the xenophobia, and be able to recognize that certain people are just born with cross-gender preferences. They are not evil, they are not nasty. They only become that way when we push them too hard to conform, and we don't allow them to be themselves. If we would have left people to be themselves, then I don't think that Adolf Hitler would have taken office. And we wouldn't have had that horrendous Holocaust and the wars, etc. But now that has taught us a lesson. And the lesson is we need to broaden our compassion, and we need to not tolerate intolerance. We need to stop the bigotry and build a respect for the diversity in the human being. That's where we need to start. This is Desiree Dubonnet signing off.